This is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and the reason you clicked on this video is probably because you're thinking of actually buying one. Maybe it's because of the price, maybe it's because of USB-C, maybe it's because of the cameras, and those are all very good reasons. Now, I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro Max as my main device for the past 30 months, and for the most part it's been great, but there are a couple of things that I think put a question mark on whether or not you should buy one today. So let's kick things off with design and durability. iPhones are infamous for recycling the same design every single year. Of course, they're not as bad as Samsung, but if you look at the back of an iPhone 11 Pro and you compare it to every single iPhone from that all the way up to the 16 Pro and 16 Pro Max even, they look almost identical. Now, the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max were the first iPhones to ever introduce titanium, which, although yes, is very durable, it did come with a lot of drawbacks, especially in the thermal department, and we'll get into that in a minute. But with the titanium, especially on the darker colored ones, there's constant smudging on the edges, and when there's a small little chip or a dent, it's actually pretty noticeable. Now, this is not an issue, of course, if you use a case with your phone, which you probably will be, but if you don't, it's not great. So overall, design-wise, you're not really missing much with the iPhone 17 Pro lineup, and I think it looks modern enough. And I mean, from the front, it's basically identical to the 17 Pro. Next up, let's talk about performance and battery. Now, I've noticed that these two have gotten progressively worse over the 2 years I've owned this, and it's also a known fact that titanium, although is durable, it's not very good when it comes to heat dissipation. And because of the lack of any internal cooling, this phone gets hot. And when your phone gets hot and overheats, it takes a pretty much 90-degree nosedive in performance. And trust me, this has happened a lot in the last couple years. The amount of times this phone would lag while I was typing a message, while multitasking, and sometimes if I was out in the heat, the phone would overheat. And it was a lot easier to get the overheating warning than it was on my stainless steel 14 Pro and all of the other aluminum iPhones I've ever owned. But the thing that shocked me the most is the battery degradation. Now, another thing that doesn't do well in heat is lithium, which is what all iPhone batteries are made of. And it's a known fact that the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max are the iPhones that have had the worst battery degradation in recent history. And in a little over 2 years of owning this device, the battery health has taken an absolute beating. It's all the way down to 75% somehow, which means this phone went from lasting me a whole day and then some, to now having to carry a battery pack with me wherever I go and having to at least charge this thing once, if not twice during a day to get me through that day. Of course, if you are buying one right now, you probably are gonna be smart and get something that has 90% or higher battery health, or just buy one like this for a cheaper price and getting the battery replaced. But if you plan on keeping this phone for 3 to 4 years, that's something you should definitely bear in mind. Moving on to a much more positive note, cameras. Now, this is probably the thing that has aged the best out of the whole phone, I think. You have a 48 megapixel main sensor, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 12 megapixel 5x telephoto lens, at least on the Pro Max. On the regular Pro, you have a 3x telephoto, and amazing doesn't even begin to describe how good these cameras are. I've traveled a lot in the last couple of years, and pretty much 90% of all the photos I've taken with the 15 Pro Max have just been good. Like, I have no complaints. It's taken great pictures in all sorts of lighting conditions in all different parts of the world. And the video capabilities of the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max are also so good. I've pretty much recorded 95+% of all of my videos with the 15 Pro Max since I've owned it, and nobody's ever complained or even noticed that all of those videos were taken on an iPhone. I've even used this phone on client shoots, and they've praised the camera quality, and they were very impressed with it as well. The front-facing camera is also great. It's great to take pictures, great to take videos. A lot of the videos I have actually shot, I have used the front-facing camera just because it's good enough. So if you're judging this phone by cameras alone, it's still incredibly capable for today's standards. Now, moving on to longevity, which is something that you have to consider when buying a used phone. Something you probably consider is, should I buy this 2-year-old iPhone? And if so, will it get enough software updates, or will I be able to own this for a long period of time and overall make it worthwhile purchasing? Now, Apple has been known to support their devices for a very long time when compared to its competitors. With even the iPhone 5S, a phone that came out 13 years ago, got a tiny software update just a couple months ago. So if you were to buy an iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max today, you'll still get major software updates all the way up until 2030, with basic security updates until 2033, if not beyond. Now, the big question mark for me, if I were in your position and I were considering buying a 15 Pro Max, the question I'd be asking is the longevity of the battery. Because of course, you don't want to own this for like a year or two and then have to replace the battery if you're planning on keeping it for 4 or 5 years. So if you're planning on getting this just for the next year or year and a half, then okay, get one at 100% battery health though, and you should be good. But anything longer than that makes you put a question mark on whether you should get this or get a different iPhone. Which brings me to my final point before drawing a conclusion on this review, which is that there are better options out there. By increasing your budget just a pinch, you can get an iPhone 16 or 16 Plus, which will get you much better battery and battery longevity. And because they're aluminum and not titanium, you'll also get better heat management. And yes, you're getting one less camera. You're getting USB 2.0 instead of 3.0, so it won't charge as fast or transfer stuff as fast. But overall, the 16 and 16 Plus are both very capable, and you still get things like USB-C. You get an extra year of software updates on top of what the 15 Pro will get, and you even get a number of different colorful colors to choose from. Or you can save some money and get the base model 15, which may not have Apple Intelligence, but the 15 and 15 Plus are still great phones to this day. Their cameras are, of course, not as good as the 15 Pro, but they're still great, and they'll probably run a little bit more efficiently than the Pro models. But in a perfect world where you can up that budget by a couple $100, the best possible iPhone I think you can buy right now is the base model iPhone 17, which you can already buy refurbished, open box, used, and get a really, really good deal. And you're getting pretty much everything that the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max have. Of course, you won't get the bigger screen size that you do on the Max, but you're getting a better camera, you're getting much better battery, you're getting 2 extra years of software support compared to the 15 Pro. You're getting a lot more colors, and overall, I think you're also getting a much better user experience. And then of course, there's always the other side of the fence that you can consider, which you have a bunch of options for around the same price, if not less. You can buy them brand new. You can even probably get a foldable for that price. And a lot of the phones on the other side will have a lot more gimmicks and a lot more fun, crazy features that Apple would never dream of including in their iPhone lineup. Now, in conclusion, should you buy the iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max for that matter? I would honestly say no. Yes, the price may make it extremely appealing, but when you can tweak your budget and get a phone that will be drastically better in the most important factors of a phone, with the battery lasting you a lot longer, with the longevity of the phone in general lasting you a lot longer, potentially even getting more cameras and extra features like the camera control button, which might I add is actually very underrated. Don't at me for that. So if you are considering a 15 Pro, I'd tweak your budget a little bit, get something a little bit better, a little bit newer possibly, or even go down to a 14 Pro. If you don't care about USB-C, the 14 Pro is probably the best iPhone I've ever owned apart from the iPhone 10. So what's your verdict? Are you still on the fence about getting the 15 Pro, or are you now leaning more towards the yes or towards the no? Let me know what you guys are going to do down in the comment section below. Subscribe for more content like this, and also YouTube thinks you should click this video because they think you'd like it. So go check it out. I mean, I made the video, so of course it's going to be good. Might be a short form video. Maybe a long form, most likely a short form video because I haven't done one of these in a while. But yeah, iPhone 15 Pro. Stay away from this, it's too hot.